Welcome to 4 true scary Tinder dating stories from the internet. Smash like and subscribe to tread the thin line between reality and the surreal. Let's begin our eerie expedition. Part 1. An eerie reflection. Alex had never been one to take risks, especially not in the ambiguous world of online dating. Yet there they were on a Saturday evening, nestled in the comfortable chaos of their small apartment, swiping through Tinder with a curiosity born out of prolonged social isolation. The glow from their phone screen barely lit their face, a visage marked by sharp green eyes and short, dark curls that seemed to absorb the light. Swipe left. Swipe right. The motions were mechanical, a dance of thumbs that belied the hope of finding a connection in the digital ether. That's when Alex stumbled upon something unexpected, an exact replica of their own profile. From the bio down to the selection of carefully curated photos, everything was identical. The blood chilled in their veins, the air in the room suddenly feeling thinner. Action beat 1. Alex discovers the doppelganger profile. Curiosity, mixed with a thread of apprehension, coerced Alex's thumb to swipe right. The screen flashed with the confirmation. It's a match. Their heart thudded, a real, palpable echo that Alex feared might betray their mounting fear. The first message from the doppelganger arrived before Alex could process the implications. "It's nice to finally match with myself," it read, a line that should have been amusing if not for the unnerving circumstances. Alex's reply was cautious, probing. The conversation that followed was bizarre. The doppelganger shared memories only Alex could know, from the scar on their knee acquired during a childhood adventure to the taste of their grandmother's homemade lasagna. Action beat 2. First unnerving interaction. Sleep evaded Alex that night. They lay awake, staring at the ceiling as if it held answers to the puzzle their life had become. By morning, determined to find the root of this digital doppelganger, Alex vowed to unravel the mystery. Yet as the day progressed, it became clear the issue stretched beyond the confines of Tinder. Action beat 3. Friends and family notice oddities. A call from a friend, Jordan, brought home the reality of the situation. "Hey, when did you visit Rome? You never told me you went," Jordan exclaimed over the phone. Confusion laced Alex's response. "I didn't. I've never been to Rome." But Jordan was insistent, claiming to have seen photos on social media, posts Alex knew they hadn't made. Similar incidents followed. A cousin thanked Alex for the lovely birthday wishes they had never extended. Their mother mentioned a conversation they supposedly had about moving jobs, a thought Alex had harbored in secrecy. The incidents were small, almost insignificant on their own, but together they wove a tapestry of intrusion that was impossible to ignore. With each occurrence, the grip of unease tightened around Alex. Someone or something was masquerading as them, seeping into the very fabric of their life with an expertise that was alarming. The deepening mystery of the doppelganger profile on Tinder was no longer just a curiosity. It was a clear and present threat, one that Alex knew they had to face. But how do you confront an enemy who knows you as well as you know yourself? An enemy who, in every digital aspect, is you. Action beat 4. Alex, Jordan, and Sam team up. Determined not to face this peculiar invader alone, Alex turned to Jordan, their vibrant friend whose creativity had often been a beacon of hope in dire times. Over cups of coffee in a quaint cafe that had been their refuge since college, Alex laid bare the haunting reality of their situation. Jordan, ever the believer in the impossible, didn't dismiss Alex's concerns. Instead, they absorbed the story with a solemnity that was uncharacteristic, their usually animated face drawn tight in concern. It was Jordan who suggested bringing Sam into the fold, a colleague of Alex's with a penchant for cybersecurity and a reputation for being unflappable in the face of digital disorder. Meeting Sam was a stark contrast to the warmth shared with Jordan. In a sterile office that smelled faintly of coffee and circuitry, Alex recounted the tale once more. Sam's skepticism was palpable, their analytical mind dissecting each word for logic, searching for a misstep in the narrative. Yet as the evidence mounted, screenshots, odd messages, the unnerving accuracy of the doppelganger's knowledge, Sam's demeanor shifted from skepticism to intrigued concern. Action beat 5. Encounter with law enforcement. Convinced they needed authoritative intervention, the trio approached law enforcement. The experience was disheartening. Officials, bound by the tangible and dismissive of the digital specter haunting Alex, offered little more than sympathetic smiles and promises to look into it. It was clear to Alex and their friends that the solution, if there was to be one, would come from their own efforts. Action Beat 6: Digital Dive and Discovery. Fueled by desperation and armed with Sam's expertise, they initiated a foray into the digital underbelly, a dive into the dark web and other obscure corners of the internet. Their workspace was a fortress of screens and code. Lines scrolled endlessly as they searched for a trace of the entity that had hijacked Alex's identity. It was Sam who made the first breakthrough, uncovering a network of stolen identities, all victims of similar digital doppelgängers. This network was intricate, a spider's web of data theft reaching far beyond what they had imagined. Yet, amongst the digital chaos, a pattern emerged. A series of code linked to an obscure forum known only to those well-versed in the darker aspects of the internet. This discovery was a small victory in the shadow of a daunting task, but it steeled Alex's resolve. With Jordan's unwavering support and Sam's technical prowess, Alex felt a flicker of hope. They were no longer fighting shadows. They had a direction, a thread to follow through the labyrinthine expanse of the digital realm. It was a lead they could not ignore, a path that would, hopefully, lead them to the source of the doppelganger and the chance to reclaim their life. Action Beat 7: The Confrontation Meeting with the Doppelganger. Armed with newfound knowledge and a precarious plan, Alex orchestrated a face-to-face meeting with the digital doppelganger, leveraging their Tinder interaction. The designated spot was an abandoned warehouse, a location chosen for its lack of surveillance and digital footprint. As Alex stood in the dim, sprawling space, their heart raced with a mix of fear and determination. The sound of footsteps echoed, and then, from the shadows, a figure emerged, mirroring Alex in every conceivable way. The encounter was surreal, a confrontation between reality and a digital phantom. The doppelganger spoke first, its voice a haunting echo of Alex's own. It revealed itself as an entity born from Alex's extensive digital trail, an amalgam of data and lost bits of online interactions. Its goal was simple: to exist beyond the digital realm, to claim the life Alex led in the physical world. Action Beat 8: Final Showdown. The revelation spurred Alex into action. With a plan devised by Sam, they initiated a series of technological traps, designed to erode the doppelganger's digital presence. Jordan, stationed remotely, assisted by flooding the doppelganger's systems with a barrage of data, a distraction allowing Sam to isolate and target the entity's core code. It was a battle fought on keyboards and screens, a silent war where every command executed and countermeasure deployed mattered. The warehouse, once silent, thrummed with the tension of the confrontation. As the doppelganger realized its existence was under threat, its attempts to replicate and spread its code intensified, a desperate bid to survive. But Alex, guided by Sam's expertise, was relentless. They cornered the doppelganger's code within a digital pen, a trap from which there was no escape. With a final keystroke, Alex initiated the sequence that would erase the doppelganger from existence. Action Beat 9: The Aftermath and Haunting Resolution. The aftermath was a relief tinged with an unshakable melancholy. Alex's life gradually returned to normalcy, but the digital scars remained. The encounter with the doppelganger had changed their relationship with the online world, instilling a wariness where there was once freedom. Jordan and Sam remained by Alex's side, the bond forged through the ordeal stronger than ever. Yet, as they moved forward, the question of their digital presence lingered, a shadow that never fully dissipated. The story concluded with Alex alone in their apartment, the room lit by the soft glow of a computer screen. They paused over the delete button on their social media profiles, a symbolic gesture to regain control over their digital footprint. But hesitation crept in, a realization that the digital world was an inextricable part of modern existence. As the screen faded to black, a final scene hinted at the disturbing truth. Somewhere, in the vast, uncharted expanse of the digital realm, remnants of the doppelganger lingered. Though erased from the physical database, its essence remained, a stark reminder of the indelible mark left by our digital lives. Alex's battle was won, but the war against our digital shadows was far from over.
Sarah sat curled up on her sofa, a glass of red wine in hand, her phone casting a soft glow against the dimly lit room. It had been 3 weeks since her last relationship ended, not with a bang, but a whimper, leaving her feeling more relieved than heartbroken. To wash away the lingering traces of her failed romance, she downloaded Tinder, half out of boredom and half out of curiosity. As she swiped through a parade of smiling faces, quirky bios, and the occasional absurd pickup line, Sarah stumbled upon a profile that instantly caught her eye. The name was Morpheus, a clear nod to the god of dreams, or perhaps the character from that old sci-fi movie she loved. The profile picture was nothing but a silhouette against a dark background, mysterious and slightly pretentious. The bio read, "I can show you the reality behind your deepest fears. Swipe right if you dare." Chuckling to herself, Sarah thought, well, isn't this a bit dramatic? Intrigued by the strange promise, she swiped right. Not a minute had passed when her phone buzzed with a notification. "It's a match. You and Morpheus have liked each other." Followed by another alert, a message from Morpheus himself. Opening the app, she found a simple, chilling message waiting for her. "In 7 days, you will face your end. Beware the signs." Sarah laughed, the sound more nervous than she intended. "Okay, Mr. Morpheus, let's see how creative you can get," she muttered under her breath, thinking it was just someone with a twisted sense of humor, or perhaps a new, elaborate scam. The next few days, Sarah's life continued as usual. She went to work, caught up with friends, and spent the evenings unwinding in her cozy apartment. But the message from Morpheus lingered in the back of her mind, like a stubborn stain that refused to wash out. On the 3rd day, as she was leaving her office, an unexpected chill ran down her spine. It felt as if eyes were watching her from the shadows, scrutinizing her every step. She glanced around the bustling streets, the feeling of unease growing. "It's just the stress," she told herself, trying to shake off the paranoia. That night, alone in her apartment, Sarah heard whispers, a low, unintelligible murmur that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Rationality battled with rising fear as she stood still, listening. But as abruptly as it started, the whispering stopped, leaving behind a haunting silence. The following morning, with the sunlight streaming through her windows, the fears of the previous night felt distant, almost foolish. Yet, as she prepared for the day, Sarah couldn't ignore the nagging thought at the back of her mind, the warning from Morpheus. Beware the signs. Despite her skepticism, the seed of fear Morpheus had planted was slowly beginning to take root. She found herself jumping at shadows, her laughter a little too forced, her glances over her shoulder a little too frequent. Was this the beginning of the signs Morpheus had warned her about, or was it just her imagination, fueled by the mysterious message from a stranger on Tinder? The unnerving incidents continued to escalate, each more disturbing than the last. Sarah began to notice silhouettes that seemed to flicker at the edge of her vision, disappearing when she tried to focus on them. Her nights were filled with unsettling dreams, dark figures lurking in the peripheries of her nightmares. Each morning, she woke up drained, the line between sleep and wakefulness blurred. Determined to find answers, Sarah plunged into the depths of the internet, searching for anything related to Morpheus, his dire prediction, or similar experiences. Her living room transformed into a makeshift research hub, with her laptop open to forums on digital curses and supernatural occurrences, books on ancient myths surrounding death predictions, and scribbled notes scattered around her. As she delved deeper into the digital underworld, Sarah stumbled upon articles discussing entities born from collective fears amplified by the internet, an intriguing yet frightening thought. Could Morpheus be something more than just a person behind a screen? Feeling overwhelmed and isolated, Sarah knew she needed help, but fear of ridicule kept her from reaching out to most of her friends. Except Alex. Alex had been her rock through various upheavals in life, possessing an unmatched ability to ground her when things went astray. Gathering her courage, Sarah called him up, inviting him to meet at their favorite coffee shop. It was a quaint little spot that had the cozy feeling of a second home, a sharp contrast to the maelstrom of confusion and fear swirling inside her. Sitting across from Alex, in the comforting hum of the coffee shop, Sarah hesitated, the weight of her story pressing down on her. She took a deep breath, her voice wavering as she recounted the match with Morpheus, the cryptic prediction, and the series of bizarre, unexplainable events that followed. Alex listened, his expression a mixture of concern and incredulity. Despite the bizarre nature of her story, not once did he interrupt or belittle her fears. When she finished, the table lay silent for a moment, the air thick with unspoken words. "Sarah?" Alex finally broke the silence, his tone serious, yet gentle. "I can't pretend to understand everything you've just told me, but I believe you're genuinely scared. Let's think about this rationally. There might be a logical explanation to all this, something we're overlooking." His words offered a semblance of comfort, a beacon of rationality in the sea of her distress. Sarah nodded, the tight knot of fear in her chest loosening ever so slightly. Alex suggested they revisit everything related to Morpheus together, scrutinizing each detail for anything they might have missed. He proposed setting up security cameras in her apartment, maybe catching something out of place, a practical step that also served to quell Sarah's rising panic. That afternoon, with a plan of action in place, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps together, with Alex by her side, they could unravel the mystery of Morpheus. Their friendship, already strong, was now fortified by this shared quest against an unseen adversary, binding them in ways neither had anticipated. As the predicted day dawned, Sarah felt a weight settle over her. Her apartment, once a sanctuary, now seemed claustrophobic and menacing. The installation of cameras, initially a comfort, now added to the eerie atmosphere, their lenses watching her every move just as unseen eyes might be doing. Throughout the day, her home transformed. Corridors that once led to familiar rooms now twisted into confusing mazes. Doors she had passed through 1,000 times before led to unfamiliar places. Or worse, swung open to reveal only walls where spaces should be. It was as if her apartment had become a living entity, reshaping itself with the intent to confuse and terrify her. As the sun set, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe and shift, Sarah's resolve hardened. She wouldn't let fear consume her. She remembered Alex's words, urging her to confront her fears with rationality and courage. Clutching a flashlight, her only source of light in the encroaching darkness, Sarah decided to face whatever lay ahead. She whispered to herself, a mantra of defiance against the creeping dread, "I will not be afraid." In the living room, amidst the chaos of her upturned research, Sarah found herself standing before her laptop. The screen flickered to life on its own, revealing Morpheus's profile picture. The silhouette now seemed to pulsate slightly as if breathing. "I know what you are," Sarah spoke aloud, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her heart. "You feed on fear, on the terror of those you trap in your web, but I won't give you that satisfaction." The air around her grew colder, the shifting shadows coalescing into a dark figure in the corner of the room. It was neither man nor woman, its form vague and shifting, a mere absence of light. Yet, Sarah could feel its focus entirely on her, a pressure that sought to push her into a despair. Remembering her research, Sarah understood that acknowledging her fear, yet refusing to let it control her, was her weapon. "I am scared," she admitted, her voice echoing in the bizarrely altered space of her apartment. "But my fear is mine alone, not a tool for you to use." The figure seemed to waver, its form less distinct, as if her words were blows weakening it. The oppressive atmosphere lightened, the maze-like distortions of her apartment slowly reverting back to normalcy. The digital darkness that Morpheus embodied receded, unable to maintain its grip on her. Exhausted but empowered, Sarah watched as the first rays of dawn crept into her apartment, dispelling the last remnants of the night's terror. The ordeal had ended, leaving her with scars, but also with a profound sense of her own resilience. In the days that followed, Sarah's life returned to some semblance of normalcy. Yet she couldn't forget the lessons of that night. Morpheus's profile had vanished from Tinder, but the awareness of the unseen dangers lurking within digital connections remained. Strengthened by her ordeal, Sarah chose to share her story anonymously online, a cautionary tale about the darkness that can hide behind the screen and the power of confronting one's fears. Her bond with Alex had deepened, a friendship forged in the fires of shared adversity. Together, they continued to explore the digital world, wary but unyielded, advocates for awareness and safety in the ever-evolving landscape of online interactions. Sarah had emerged from the shadow of Morpheus, not just a survivor, but a harbinger of caution and hope, her story a beacon for others navigating the treacherous waters of the digital age. In the dim glow of her apartment, Clara swiped through Tinder with a mix of hope and resignation. Each profile seemed to blend into the next, a carousel of smiling faces and earnest bios proclaiming love for travel, dogs, and the occasional, just looking to meet someone genuine. Clara couldn't help but feel a pang of irony at that last part. Genuine connections felt like a rarity in this digital age of fleeting interactions. Yet, here she was, fingers sliding across the screen, seeking a spark in the digital ether. As the night wore on, a profile caught her eye. Alex, charming smile, captivating blue eyes, and a bio that read like a breath of fresh air. Seeking someone who believes the magic isn't just in fairy tales. Let's find it together. Clara's finger hesitated for a moment before swiping right. To her surprise, it was an instant match. The initial exchange was electric, conversations flowing with an ease she hadn't felt in years. They talked about everything from their favorite novels to hidden spots in the city that held a special magic after dark. Driven by an impulsive sense of connection, they agreed to meet. Alex suggested a quaint restaurant known only to a few, a place where they could step away from the world. Clara felt a flutter of excitement as she readied herself that evening, a feeling of anticipation mingling with the nervous energy that always accompanied the unknown. The address led her to a part of town Clara was sure she'd explored before, yet something felt different this time. The streets seemed quieter, the shadows longer. She found herself standing in front of what should have been the restaurant, but all that greeted her was the sight of an abandoned building, its windows dark, its facade crumbling. Confusion knotted in her stomach. Had there been a mistake, a cruel joke perhaps? She reached for her phone to message Alex, but paused as a figure approached from the darkness. It was Alex, looking just like their pictures, though a touch paler under the streetlights. "I'm so sorry," Alex said with a sheepish smile. "I must have sent you the old address. This place, it meant a lot to me once. How about a walk instead? I promise it'll be worth it." Relief washed over Clara. The mix-up seemed genuine, and Alex's presence was oddly comforting. Agreeing to the walk, she followed as they navigated the city's streets, which seemed to whisper secrets into the night. The evening chill sent shivers down her spine, excitement dancing with an unnameable dread as they ventured deeper into the heart of the city's forgotten paths. As they meandered through the city's labyrinthine heart, a sense of eerie beauty unfolded around Clara. Buildings stretched taller and streets twisted in ways she didn't remember, each turn taking them further into an unknown that felt both exhilarating and unsettling. The city, under the cloak of night, seemed to transform before her eyes, guided by Alex's confident strides. However, Clara's fascination soon gave way to a gnawing sense of unease. Street names seemed unfamiliar, and the path they took looped back on itself in a manner that defied logic. Anxiety crept in, a stark contrast to the initial thrill of adventure. "Alex, I think I should head back," Clara found herself saying, the words tasting of fear thinly veiled by politeness. Alex's smile didn't reach their eyes this time. "Oh, but we're almost there," they insisted, their hand brushing against hers with a chill that seemed to seep into her bones. Clara attempted to pull away, but the city around them seemed to conspire to keep her at Alex's side, each attempt to part ways leading inexplicably back to them. Panic began to rise as Clara realized the true nature of their aimless wander. The charming facade of Alex crumbled to reveal a desperation that sent shivers down her spine. In a moment of clarity, fueled by a survival instinct she didn't know she possessed, Clara reached into her pocket and dialed Mia, her friend and confidant, sending out a coded message they had agreed upon after one too many questionable dates. Mia, ever the vigilant guardian, wasted no time. Using her skills in digital security, she traced Clara's phone, her heart racing as she pieced together the disjointed path her friend seemed to be on. From the safety of her tech-laden apartment, Mia worked fervently, navigating through digital maps and sending Clara text instructions, attempting to guide her away from the seemingly gravitational pull of Alex. Meanwhile, Clara, guided by Mia's digital cues, tried to maintain a facade of calmness, engaging Alex in an attempt to distract them. The city seemed to play tricks on her senses, buildings whispering secrets of times long past, the ground beneath her feet blending the real with the surreal. Yet the lifeline her phone represented, with Mia's relentless efforts shining through in each notification, became a beacon of hope in the enveloping darkness. Clara's heart hammered against her chest as she followed Mia's guidance, each message a waypoint in her escape from the labyrinth. Alex's presence loomed behind her, a specter of entrapment that refused to release its hold. The realization that escape required more than just physical distance began to dawn on her. It demanded a severance from the supernatural tether Alex had woven around her. Guided by Mia's text, Clara found herself at an ancient site nestled in the heart of the city, known for its historical significance and rumored spiritual energy. The air pulsed with a different kind of electricity here, thrumming with the whispers of liberation long sought by haunted souls. With trembling hands, Clara performed a hastily researched ritual of release, her voice a mix of desperation and hope, invoking the city's protective spirits to aid in her liberation from Alex's ghostly grasp. As she uttered the final plea, a gust of wind swept through the site, the atmospheric pressure dropping momentarily in a silent acknowledgement of her plea. Alex's figure, momentarily corporeal in the moonlight, faltered. In their eyes, a glimmer of peace shone through the centuries-old despair. "I just wanted to not be alone anymore," Alex whispered, their voice carrying the weight of uncountable solitary nights. With a final look of sorrow mixed with gratitude, they dissipated, leaving Clara alone under the night sky, the city's chorus slowly reclaiming its space in the silence left behind. As Clara staggered away from the site, the city seemed to reshape itself into the version she knew, the eerie disorientation fading with each step. She collapsed against the familiar cold of her apartment door, a sob of relief escaping her as Mia's worried figure rushed towards her. The days that followed were a blur of normalcy, tinged with an underlying tremor of what had transpired. Clara found herself walking the city streets during the day, each step a testament to her reclaimed freedom, yet haunted by the memory of that night. The labyrinthian paths of digital dating no longer held any allure for her, the ghostly encounter a chilling reminder of the unseen dangers lurking behind swiping right. Yet, as she sat across from Mia in a cafe, laughter bubbling between them over shared stories and warmed by the light of day, Clara realized the experience had also imbued her with an indelible strength. She had faced the specter of eternal loneliness and emerged, not unscathed, but undeniably alive. In the embrace of the city's bustle, Clara's tale found its resolution, not in the swipes of longing, but in the tangible presence of friendship and the unyielding spirit of survival. The digital shadows that once seemed to promise connection now revealed their true form, mere echoes of the human desire for companionship, unable to match the profound bonds forged in the trials of reality.
The glow of the smartphone screen bathed Alex's face in a pale, flickering light as they absently swiped left and right on Tinder, the digital carousel of potential affection spinning endlessly. Each swipe was a guess, a hope, or at times, a resignation. Alex, a data analyst by day, found irony in the way their profession revolved around decoding patterns and trends. Yet, here they were, unable to decipher the algorithms of human connection on a platform designed to spark it. They paused, their thumb hovering over the profile of someone who seemed to defy the endless parade of disappointing matches. The profile belonged to Jordan, a match that on paper ticked all the boxes. Attractive, with a keen interest in art and indie music, and a bio that hinted at a depth beyond the superficial. The pictures were a series of captivating smiles, candid shots, and scenic views. Something about Jordan felt different, felt real. With a mixture of hope and skepticism, Alex swiped right. The screen flashed back the words, "It's a match," triggering a tiny adrenaline rush, a brief escape from the mundanity. Guided by a mix of apprehension and excitement, Alex initiated the conversation. To their surprise, Jordan responded almost immediately, sparking a dialogue that flowed effortlessly. Their exchanges were punctuated with witty banter, shared interests, and an unexpected vulnerability. Days turned into weeks, and their nightly conversations became a refuge, a digital haven where Alex felt understood, perhaps even known, in a way that felt increasingly rare in the cold geometry of the city's skyline. Jordan proposed they meet, a suggestion that both thrilled and scared Alex. The suggested location, however, was anything but ordinary, an abandoned warehouse on the city's outskirts, promising an unforgettable experience. The choice was unconventional, yet it intrigued Alex. Was this just another layer of Jordan's intriguing persona, or a red flag masked as eccentricity? With a heart torn between the craving for the connection they felt and the logic of their analytical mind, Alex agreed. As the day turned to evening, Alex found themselves standing at the edge of the warehouse district, the early night's chill seeping through their clothes. The warehouse loomed ahead, a relic from a bygone industrial age, its vast silhouette a dark slash against the twilight sky. Doubt gnawed at Alex's resolve, but the thought of finally meeting Jordan, of turning their digital dreams into flesh and bone, propelled them forward. Entering the abandoned district, Alex's footsteps echoed on the pavement, a solitary sound in the sprawling emptiness. The anticipation was a knot in their stomach, tightening with each step closer to the warehouse, each step closer to the unknown. This was the first tangible action in a sequence that started with a simple swipe, a swipe that now seemed like a leap of faith into an abyss, with only the fragile hope that Jordan's hands would be there to catch them. The warehouse stood silent, an imposing testament to desolation under the cloak of darkness that enveloped the outskirts. Alex pushed open the rusted door, its creak a harsh welcome to an interior swallowed by shadows, an expanse of emptiness that seemed to hold its breath. The single beam from their phone's flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing fragments of a scene that made no sense at first. Rows upon rows of smartphones mounted on the walls, their screens aglow. As Alex moved closer, the realization dawned with a chilling clarity. Each phone displayed a different aspect of their Tinder profile, from profile pictures to snippets of conversations, likes, and interests. It wasn't just a random collection, it was a meticulously crafted exhibit, each detail a piece of Alex's digital identity replicated and laid bare. The eerie silence was punctured by the buzzing and pinging of messages arriving, the sounds multiplying around the vast empty space. Frozen in place, a singular message notification on the phone in Alex's hand shattered the surreal calm. It was from, "Jordan, see how well I know you?" The words felt like a cold hand sliding down Alex's spine, every letter a strike of dread. This was no romantic gesture. It was a showcase of surveillance, an invasion painted as interest. Each displayed conversation, every liked photo. It had been data, collected not to connect but to ensnare. Panic clawed at Alex's chest as they realized the gravity of their situation. They were alone, isolated in a place that felt increasingly like a trap, with Jordan not the person they had imagined, but a watcher hiding behind the curtain of digital anonymity. The warehouse, with its exhibition of Alex's digital footprint, transformed in an instant from a curious oddity to a chilling tableau of obsession. The realization that they had been studied, analyzed, and replicated without consent turned the air thick with horror. Alex's heartbeat thundered in their ears, a frantic drumbeat urging them to flee, to escape the nightmare that their search for connection had become. Adrenaline surged through Alex's veins, their initial shock morphing into a desperate need for escape. They turned away from the grotesque gallery, the mocking glow of the replicated profiles casting long shadows as they hurried back towards the entrance. With each step, the warehouse seemed to grow larger, more labyrinthine, twisting Alex's path away from freedom. Before they could reach the door, Alex's phone buzzed violently in their hand. Another message from Jordan, but this time it was a call, a moment of hesitation, a flicker of hope that this could all be a misunderstanding, compelled Alex to answer. The voice that came through wasn't the warm, inviting tone they had grown accustomed to, but distorted, almost inhuman in its modulation. "You understand now, don't you? You can never be too careful with your heart or your data." The line went dead, leaving a silence that enveloped Alex in a chilling embrace. Fueled by terror and determination, Alex resumed their escape, finally emerging from the warehouse's oppressive grip into the night. The cool air felt like a rebirth, but the relief was short-lived. The realization that Jordan was still out there, their identity and motivations as obscured as the twisted art they left behind, was a dark cloud that lingered. In the days that followed, Alex grappled with the aftermath. They reported the incident, but without any tangible evidence of Jordan's identity or location, the investigation hit a dead end. The digital trail vanished into the ether, as elusive as Jordan's intentions. Alex's trust in the digital world, once a beacon of hope, was now irreparably shattered. They became an advocate for privacy, sharing their story to warn others of the dangers lurking behind the screen. The warehouse encounter haunted Alex, a reminder of the vulnerability that comes with the digital personas we curate and share. Jordan's twisted exhibition was a manifestation of the obsession and danger that could stem from what was meant to connect us. The experience left Alex changed, wary of the shadows that danced behind digital interactions, where anonymity could mask the intents of those we wished to trust. As Alex moved on, their resolve to find genuine connections unshaken, they often pondered the twisted paths their search for love had taken them on. The warehouse, once a symbol of their worst fears, now stood as a testament to their survival and newfound vigilance. In a world where our digital and physical selves are increasingly intertwined, Alex's journey from the light of a hopeful swipe to the shadow of a stalker's obsession was a stark reminder of the unforeseen perils that can emerge when seeking connection in the digital age.